Public scandal.
Well, I don't care now.
You don't care about anything, but I care. I was almost certain for a knighted in the next honors list.
For God's sake, what does it matter now whether they give you an or not?
It doesn't matter to you. Apparently nothing matters to you. But it may interest you that until every penny of that stolen money has been repaid, you work for nothing. And there's no more of this drinking around the town and picking up girls in the palace bar.
I should think not. Eric, I'm absolutely ashamed of you.
I don't blame you. But remember, I'm ashamed of both of you.
Drop that. There's every excuse for what your mother and I did. It turned out unfortunately. That's all.
That's all?
Well, what do you have to say?
I don't know where to begin.
Then don't. Nobody wants you to.
I behaved badly too. I know I did. I'm ashamed of it. But you're beginning to pretend all over again that nothing much has happened.
Nothing much has happened. Haven't I already said there'll be a public scandal, and if we're lucky? And who here will suffer more than I will?
But that's not what I'm talking about. I don't care about that. The point is, you don't seem to have learned anything.
Don't I? Oh, well, you're quite wrong there. I've learned plenty tonight, and you don't want me to tell you what I've learned. When I look back at it tonight, when I think of the feeling that I was having when the five of us sat to dinner at that table.
Oh yes, and you remember what you told me and Joe after dinner. You were feeling so pleased with yourself. You told us that a man has to look after himself, has to make his own way and mind his own business. And that we shouldn't take any notice of these cranks that tell us that everybody has to look after everybody else, as if we were mixed up or something. Oh yes, and then one of those cranks walked in, the inspector. I don't recall you telling him that it's every man for himself.
Is that when the inspector came in? Just after Father had said that?
Yes. What of it?
Now, what's the matter, Sheila? It's clear. Very clear.
I know what you're going to say, because I've been thinking the same myself.
Not that it matters now, but was he really a police inspector?
Well, if he wasn't, it matters a devil of a lot.
No,
Makes
it-
all the difference.
No, it doesn't.
Don't talk rubbish. Of course it does.
Well, it doesn't to me, and it oughtn't to you either.
Don't be childish, Sheila.
I'm not being. Ask me if the two of you are being childish. Trying not to face the facts.
I won't have that sort of talk anymore, and you leave the room.
That would be terrible for her. Opponent.
I'm going anyhow in a minute or two. But can't you see? All that's come out tonight is true. Father had returned out of one job, and I out of the other. Gerald kept her at a time who was supposed to be too busy to see me. And Eric, well, we know what Eric did. And Mother was the one that hardened her heart and gave her the final push that finished her. That's what's important. Not whether a man is a police inspector or not.
It was our business, all right?
That's what I mean, Eric. And if it's any comfort to you, and certainly isn't to me, I had this feeling, all night, vaguely, that there was something curious about him. He didn't seem like an ordinary police inspector.
You're right. I felt it too. Didn't you?
I must say, his manner was quite extraordinary. So rude and assertive.
And look at the way you talk to me, telling me to shut up and so on. Did you know I was ex-Lord Mayor and magistrate and so forth? Then, besides the way he talks to me, I mean, they don't talk like that, and I've had dealings with dozens of them.
Well, it doesn't really matter now, you know.
Of course it does.
No. Sheila's right. It doesn't.
That's common. It's common from both of you. You're the one that makes most difference to me. You confess it, that, and now he knows all about it, and he can bring it out in the inquest and if necessary, even to court. He can't do anything to your mother, Sheila, and me, except maybe make us look a bit ashamed of ourselves in public. But as for you, he can ruin you, you know?
We hardly ever told him anything he didn't already know.
That's
Did
nothing.
you notice that?
No, that's nothing. Had a bit of information left by the girl and made a few smart guesses. But the fact remains that if we wouldn't have talked so much, we would have less to go on.
It's all right saying that now, but he made us confess.
He certainly didn't make me confess, as you call it. I told him quite plainly that I had done no more than my duty.
Oh, Mother.
The fact is, you allowed yourself to be bluffed. Yes, bluffed.
Now really, Arthur.
No, not you, my dear, but these two.
And now go
the reason for coming? What did the inspector leave?
Just a few minutes ago. He punched us all through it.
Sheila!
All right, Gerald might as well know.
Now we needn't bother him with all that.
All right, well, we're all in it. Up to the neck. Got worse after you left.
How did he behave?
He was frightening.
If you ask me, he behaved in a very peculiar and suspicious manner.
The rude way he spoke to Mr. Burley and me was quite extraordinary.
You know something? What is it?
That man wasn't a police officer.
What?
Are you certain?
I'm almost certain. That's what I came back to tell you.
Good lad. You asked about him, eh?
Yes, I went to meet a police sergeant, and he's on the road. I told him about this Inspector Blue and described the chap carefully to him. He swore there was no such inspector on the force here.
You didn't tell him
No,
that.
of course not. I passed it off as me having an argument with somebody. But the point is, this sergeant was dead certain they had no such inspector like the one who came down each night.
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I say I couldn't imagine a police inspector talking to us like that?
Well, you're right. There is no such inspector. There been had.
I'm going to make certain of this.
What are you going to do?
Bring up the chief constable, Colonel Roberts.
Be careful what you say, dear.
Of course. Bromley 8752. Colonel Roberts, please. Let's start the verdict then. I was going to do this anyhow. I've had my suspicions all along. Oh, Roberts! Bernie here. Sorry to ring you up so late at night. But could you tell me if an Inspector Gould has joined your staff lately? Gould. G-O-O-L-E. Tall, dark hair, clean shaven. I see. Yes. Well, that settles it. No, just a little argument we were having here. Good night. There's no Inspector Gould on the police. That man was definitely not a police inspector at all. As Gerald says, we've been had.
I knew it all the time. He never talked like one. He never even looked like one.
This makes a difference, you know. In fact, it makes all the difference. Of course.
I suppose we're all nice people now.
Listen, Sheila, after you've nothing more sensible to say, then you'd better keep quiet.
She's right though.
And you'd be quiet anyhow. If that man had been a police inspector and he'd made you confess.
Arthur, careful.
Yes.
You see, Gerald, we haven't known the rest of our crimes and idiocies.
That's all right. I don't want to know. What do you make of all this now? All the hoax?
Of course. Somebody put that man into coming here and hoaxing us. I know there are people who dislike me enough to do so.
I wish I'd been there when that man first arrived. I would have asked him a few questions before I allowed him to ask us anything.
It's all right saying that now.
I was the only one who didn't give in to him.
Already we've discovered one important fact, that man was a fraud and we've been hoaxed, and that may not be the end of it by any means.
I'm sure it isn't.
You are it? Good. Oh, and you, young man, just remember your own position. If anybody's up to the neck of the business, then you are. So you better take some interest in it.
I do take some interest in it. I take too much. That's my trouble.
It's mine too.
Listen, you two. If you're still feeling on edge, then the least you can do is to keep quiet. Leave this to us. Now it's our turn.
Our turn to do what? To behave sensibly, Sheila, which is more than you are doing.
What's the use of talking about behaving sensibly? You're pretending now that nothing's really happened at all. And I can't see it like that.
That's,
The ghost of dead, isn't she? Nobody's brought you back to life, have they?
that's just what I feel, Eric, and it's what they don't seem to understand.
Whoever that chap was, the fact remains that I did what I did, and Mother did what she did, and the rest of you did what you did. And it's the same rotten story, whether it has been told to a police inspector or to anybody else.
And Eric's absolutely right, and it's the best thing any of us has said tonight. And it makes me feel a bit less ashamed of us. You're all beginning to pretend all over again.
For God's sake!
Arthur,
Well, my dear, this is so damn exasperating.
And I say the ghost dead, and we all helped to kill her.
And I say to stop shouting or get
I
out!
don't give a damn now whether I stay here or not.
Oh, you stay here long enough until you give me an account of that money you stole. Yes, and to pay back too.
that won't bring back Eva Smith now, will it? Between us, we all drove that girl to commit suicide.
Did we? If I say, there's no more real evidence we did than there was in that chap with the police inspector.
Of course there is.
No, there isn't. Look at it this way. A man comes in here pretending to be a police officer. It's a hoax of some kind. How do we know it was the same girl?
Now, wait a minute. Let's see how that would. No, it wouldn't.
All right. You all admitted you have something to do with the girl. But how do you know it's the same girl? Look here, Mr. Boyd. You signed a gold called Elizabeth. You forgot. But then he showed you a photograph, and then you remember. Correct?
Yes, that part's straightforward. But what then?
Well, then you have to know that Sheila once had a gold sack from Millwards. He tells us it's the same Eva Smith. And then he also shows her a photograph. Did she recognize this?
Yes, the same photograph.
How do you know that? Did you look at the one your father looked at?
No, I didn't.
And your father looked at the one you looked at?
No, he didn't. And I see what you mean now.
We have no proof that was the same photograph. And therefore no proof at all that was the same girl. Of course, he didn't the photograph by the time he came to me. Because caught me out by suddenly announcing that this girl had changed her name to Daisy Benton. And I gave myself away at once. Because I had once known a Daisy Benton.
And there isn't the slightest proof that this Daisy Renton was really Eva Smith. We've only his word for it, and we have his word that he was a police inspector, and we know that he was lying. So maybe he was lying all the time.
Of course, probably was.
But obviously it must have been the girl that came around to see mother.
Why must it?
Well, the girl said she wouldn't take any more stolen money. The girl I knew had already told me that.
Even then, that all may be nonsense.
You don't see much nonsense about it when a girl goes and kills herself. You don't be getting yourself out nicely, but I can. And your mother, we all do it. The girl's dead, isn't she?
Which girl? There are probably 4 or 5 different girls.
That doesn't matter to me. The girl I knew is dead.
Is she? How do we know she is?
That's right, got it. How do you know any girl killed her for tonight? You can settle this at once.
How?
By ringing up the infirmary. Either there's a dead girl or there isn't.
If there isn't,
We'll see.
Don't you think it's strange calling at this hour?
I don't mind doing it. Yes, hello. Is that the infirmary? Yes, this is Mr. Gerald Croft of Croft Limited. Yes, we're quite worried about one of our employees. Have you had any go submitted this afternoon after drinking strong disinfectant? Or anything like suicide? Yes, I'll wait. Yes, well? Certain on that. Yes, the last element. Thank you. Good night. No girl has died in this night. No one has been brought in after drinking strong disinfectant. They haven't had a suicide for months.
There you are, proof positive. The whole story just loves moonshine. Nothing but an elaborate sell. And for all that, Gerald, have a drink.
I must say, Gerald, you've argued this very cleverly. I'm most grateful.
Well, here's to us. Don't look like that, Sheila. All over now.
But you're forgetting one important thing I still can't forget. All that we said tonight had happened, had really happened. And if it didn't turn out, unfortunately for us, then we're lucky. But it might have.
But it's different now. Can't you see? Come. You all helped to kill her. You should have seen the look on your faces when you said that. Going to bed then, lady.
Yes, I can't stand it anymore. It frightens me the way that you talk.
Nonsense. You'll have a good laugh over it yet. Look, you'd better ask Gerald for the ring you gave back to, hadn't you?
You're all beginning to pretend all over again.
No.
I know you aren't, but these others are.
Well, isn't it? We've been had it, that's all.
So there's nothing to learn, nothing to be sorry for. We can all go returning to our same old ways. But why shouldn't we? I tell you, whoever that inspector was, it was anything but a joke. And I don't understand why you're so amused amused.
And you're not, eh?
No, because I remember what he said, how he made me feel. Fire, blood, and anguish, and it frightens me the way that you talk, and I won't listen to any more of it.
And I agree with Sheila. It frightened me too.
Then go to bed and stop standing there being hysterical now.
They're overtired. In the morning, they'll be just as amused as we are.
Look, everything's all right now. Now, what about this?
No, Gerald, it's too soon. I must think.
Now look at the pair of those two. The famous younger generation who know it all, but they can't even take a joke. Hello? Mr. Burning here. What? Here now. That was the police. A young girl has just died on the way to the infirmary after swallowing some disinfectant. And now a police officer is on his way here to ask us some questions.